I can't sleep when I lay in bed. Too much thinking in my head. I don't know what to do anymore. Well, come on now, tell me the score. Is there anything I can do to get out of these tragic blues? I'm a victim of circumstance. I never really had a chance. I lay down and stare at my feet. You know the world has got me beat.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Our guests for today are from the Wellspring Women's Center. With us we have Janelle Smith, who is an MSW and an LCSW, and Janelle is the Women's Wellness Program Coordinator. We also have Missy Kinder, and Missy is the Art Program Coordinator. Now we're going to go ahead and join them with a conversation already in progress.
For women and children, any woman and child, you're not going to be asked any questions. You walk through the door and you eat. You don't have to tell us your name or anything else.
So like no sign-in sheet, no eligibility criteria?
Not one thing. Just
wonderful.
come in and, again, very nutritious breakfast. We really focused on, a lot of, so many of us eating healthy and providing really nutritious nourishment so that you're not just, hopefully you're not just fighting hunger, but also fighting malnutrition for the women and children in our community. And then we have a program that runs during that time. It's called the Children's Corner program. So children ages 2 to 8 can join our Children's Coordinator meeting, and they get supervised play and wonderful little great learning activities. And sometimes if they're regulars, they get little homework assignments, and she works really closely with the mothers to really assist the children in their development. And then the moms and guardians and grandmas get a little break.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's so needed for the
So
moms.
important. And so they can chat and laugh and enjoy their breakfast without having to tend to children. And then also during that program, we have some safety net services that we give. We give bus tickets and hygiene bags and diapers. So there's some other just sort of safety net services. And then the Women's Wellness Program offers certain classes, parenting class, yoga. We have a Believe program for helping women get back to college. We offer different activities, also just health screenings. Different programs come in and tell us what they do and set up little booths, and we do little health fairs. And then there's always the ability to access either case management or counseling as well. And all of these services are free. I shouldn't listen to free services.
Oh, but that's just so unusual, so we appreciate you coming on and telling folks about that.
That's right. And so the case management, of course, is just about assisting a woman who walks through the door with anything. So this could be maybe someone who English is their second language and they've got some applications to fill out and they need some assistance with that. As complicated as someone who is comes in a domestic violence situation is wanting to access resources for restraining order and other supports. And so it can just be anything that they need help with. And so every day is different. You never really know what will come through the door.
Sometimes that's exciting.
Yes. Well, actually,
never dull.
Right.
And actually,
doesn't get boring.
That's true. And I think it's one of the things that makes Wellspring special is that it is, every day people sometimes are bringing their sad news, but they're also bringing their great news and their successes and wonderful things.
Definitely a lot of celebrations.
Yes, so many. And then we have within the Women's Wellness Program the counseling component, which is another free service. So you can get up to 12 sessions of individual counseling. And so that's another kind of offering that we allow for any woman to get into.
So again, that's not, eligibility,
Nothing.
none of those things.
Nothing.
That's really wonderful.
And the newest program that we have, which was our main focus today, is the Art of Being program. And so Missy and I sort of work with this program together, but Missy directs most of it. So maybe you can talk a little about
Yeah, and
that.
I appreciate you, being involved with the arts like that, because I do think it's really therapeutic for folks, and we've, had some really great feedback. I think that's sort of how we found out about you guys, was through some clients that said, we went to Wellspring and I've been part of their art program. It's just something you guys really need to know about. So,
Wonderful.
yeah, thank you for sharing with us and with the community. So tell us a little bit about
Well,
the
we're
Art of
so
Being.
excited about this program, and it just keeps evolving. It's been going for 2 years now, and it's the same amount of time I've been with Wellspring. And Janelle and I have co-created this program completely in partnership with each other. But it's Art of Being is creative opportunities for women is how I look at it. And we offer those at a few different kind of levels, if you want to think of it that way. And one of the kind of the easiest access opportunity that we offer, and one of my most fun personally, is the craft club, which we have on Thursday mornings from 9:30 to 11:30. It's actually one of the only programs or classes that we offer during our open hours. And so it's a little bit of a challenge with the crowd, crowding and the noise and everything, but that's also what makes it so great, is that, during the morning, people do tend to kind of gravitate to their friends at their tables, and then we set up this little table over here in the corner, and pretty soon people are coming from all the tables, and they're commingling, and we offer you don't register for this, it's a drop-in activity. The skill level is such that anybody can come and complete one of the projects. They're fun, make it, take it, like Pinterest type of projects, take it home and hopefully, teach your kids. Or some women even take some of the projects and make 100 of them and then go off and sell them, to their friends and neighbors or at street fairs and whatnot. But that's just such a joyful explosion of creativity, and I just love it because everybody has access to that. And then we offer art workshops, which are usually in the afternoons. They have a little more focus around a specific type of medium or project, and those are offered to anyone also. There's no one needs to feel like they need any kind of art experience to access any of our classes. We will always offer basic instruction. But those offer a little bit more higher skill level, a little bit more instruction to get you to maybe a little more complex project. And we offer 2 to 3 to 4 hours for those so that we can really accomplish something and learn something. And some of those are, we've done things like silk scarf painting, which is very popular.
Wow.
And also one of our major sources of fundraising and recycling.
So you sell them?
Yeah, we always allow women to make one for us and then keep one for themselves, and they're happy to do that, which is really nice. And but we're very fortunate to have a henna artist who offers henna workshops, and those are very popular. And we do clay workshops. Oh my gosh! So our newest component of the art workshops is a sewing class that we are so excited to be able to offer. From the minute I stepped foot in the building, women were asking, do you have sewing machines? Can I use a sewing machine? Is there anyone here? Can you teach me? Well, no, I can't. But do you have sewing classes here? And we weren't able to do that, but more recently through partnership with the American Sewing Guild, they have stepped in. They have come through with donations of material, supplies, machines, and more importantly, the women who can come in and teach very high-level skill of sewing.
So it sounds like you're not able to teach all of these classes, and that you must rely to some degree on volunteers and donations. Definitely. So tell me a little bit about the use of volunteers and how you run the program.
Well, we definitely welcome people to come in if they have a skill that they can share with other women and are willing to come in. We can pick up all the materials and the supplies. We are really blessed to have donations that come into the center. People think of us a lot. We do have a supply list posted on our website in the Art of Being page. It's our little wish list. But basically, I really try to work projects around what we have on hand and maximize our resources and really make use of all those crazy little
Little
things that come
scraps
in.
and little-
Oh, it's just great.
So you must be very creative then, because I wouldn't know what to do
And,
with them.
you know, and women at the center come up with the most wonderful ideas. So many of them are already creative. They don't need to be taught anything. They just
You
need
need to tap into it.
access. They need to have a place where they can come and not be interrupted and have supplies and have time.
Right. So what are the hours again? I'm sorry, I know you do the breakfast, and that was what time?
So Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. is the breakfast program.
So it's a long
Yeah,
stretch.
so
there
that's,
also.
yeah, and so that's with some of the other concurrent programs are also happening. But then in the afternoon, it's by appointment for counseling or case management, or for some of our afternoon
Art
groups
classes, I
that we
see.
offer, including art and some other things that we do, like cooking classes.
So people would call and just set up an appointment to come in, or schedule some classes.
And they could drop in anytime 7:30 to 11:30.
And just find out.
And just find out, or if they wanted more detailed information, they could always call.
We try to post the upcoming classes on a bulletin board that's in the center. And then if I can get someone's email, I send out a little email constant contact type of thing
Great.
out to people,
Just
letting
sort
them
of stay
know what's
connected.
coming up, and it's first come, first serve. And you know, we really try to accommodate as many people as we can if we think we can handle it.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, and the program itself not only contains the basic craft club and workshops, but then it has the intensive program, the expressive therapy program.
Right, I was going to ask
Yeah.
you a little bit about
Very
that.
excited about.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that program itself is pretty, it has evolved over time in my experience working in the social work field and kind of seeing what women need to heal. And one of the things that came out of that for me was just this idea that we as women often need a place to create and a place to really kind of listen to our hearts and get quiet, and a space that allows us to then communicate that, what's in our hearts. And just, again, what that meant for this program was it needed to be intensive enough that people could really get into it. It would have some real therapeutic benefit for them. And so we designed it with a 10-week modality, 5 hours a week. So it's Monday and Wednesday from 1 to 3:30, and so 2.5 hours both days. And it's the same women who go through all 10 weeks to sort of help with connection and community and other things. And through that, we use all types of expressive modalities, visual arts, collaging, watercolor painting, we do ceramics, and then we also do movement and sort of dance, and we do poetry. So it really is an expressive therapy in that way. And so every time Missy will offer some sort of instruction, so sort of demystify the art materials, because sometimes, it's like
I could
Well,
never do
a lot
that.
of
Yeah, I
people
feel that way a little bit.
and-
Yeah, I'm not
and they get
very.
very anxious around the use of art materials.
Right,
And,
right.
you know, so we do try to definitely make them comfortable with the process and, you know, have just a really accessible format
Mhm.
where nothing seems
It's too overwhelming.
frightening or overwhelming.
I know that we have a video also, but before I get to that, sorry, I wanted to ask just a little bit about how is expressive therapy a little bit different from maybe, just regular therapy and other forms of therapy?
Yes, I think that I get that question more than most about the program. Like, what does this exactly mean, expressive therapy, and how is it different? And of course, most therapies that have sort of a talk basis, there's some limitations to that, like how do we communicate, what's our use of our vocabulary, what
The
types
use of language,
use
our
of language.
experiences.
Yes, so many things can really help or hinder us in this process of trying to explain our experiences. And so the expressive modalities sort of take out those barriers, and you just can use the art materials to communicate. And so in that way, it doesn't have to be filtered through language. The brain
Right.
itself,
And perceptions and all of those.
yeah, the whole brain lights up much differently too. I mean, if you're looking at just the neurochemistry of the brain when you're doing art versus talking through an experience. So there's a whole other kind of neurochemistry process that's happening with the expressive therapy that's not there with talk therapy.
Well, and even just, I would imagine, like touching the clay and things like that. I mean, that's a
Very
whole
much.
different
Very
experience
Very
as well.
sensory
Yeah.
oriented, and You know, you can tap into a vocabulary that includes color and texture,
Right.
and image and form, and bypass those critical, nagging, habitual voices.
Yeah, I love that. It's wonderful.
Running in there.
And I really think that we have a video where the women can really describe it best what their experience was like, and they can really offer that in much better than I think Missy and I and their experience with expressive
So I think
therapy.
we're probably ready to go ahead and play that
Yeah,
video.
great.
So let's do that.
Wellspring itself, the main center, started in 1987, and it was initially just a place for hospitality and breakfast, and it's expanded over the years to have many programs, including the Art of Being program, which is the newest one. So the Art of Being program was established or created to bring together women that maybe wouldn't normally even spend time together in the same room. And it just gets you thinking. That's what the program does. It gets you thinking, it gets you feeling, it gets you experiencing, it gets you connected, it gets you to a place where healing happens.
I really looked at flowers today, not just walked past them and, oh, that's a red flower, but, oh, that's a red rose and it's blooming. And I felt like I wouldn't have that appreciation for color and for things if I had not taken the time to do Art of Being.
I heard that this was right in my neighborhood and that it was a free art class, so I had to sign up. I didn't know I needed therapy until after I started taking the classes, and it was exactly what I needed. I found out a lot about myself.
It changed my life in a way where I'm free to do whatever it is that I imagine to do, whatever it is my heart desires to do. For me, it gave me my life back.
It kind of really gets to you in ways that you don't expect, in really good ways. And not only did we draw and paint and sing and dance, but we made friends. We let our guard down.
You get to meet the neatest people, and I'm still friends with a couple of the ladies that I met here.
The Art of Being program is a place of love, joy, and peace. The way the class was structured and facilitated was awesome. It certainly brought me out of the sad place that I was in, the lonely and the sad place that I was in. I am now getting out of the house. For me, that's huge.
For other women that are interested in the program, I'd tell them to go for it, because I think even if you don't have emotional issues, part of what I learned through the program is remember what it was like to be a kid. I've created a lot of family members here at Wellspring through the Art of Being.
It's about self-expression, but it's also about sharing and building community. It's just overall a very positive experience, I think, for everyone in the class. And we all got a great deal out of it.
And it provided social contact for me in a way that was structured and felt safe, yet had a lot of flexibility and freedom and fun. I felt really happy to be surrounded by other women who were on a journey of trying to better themselves and better their lives and work together in a little community to help each other, because we helped each other a lot.
And you're gonna use like the best supplies and the best materials, and you're gonna get the best instruction. Like, it's gonna be the best thing that ever happened to you. Like, all you have to do is just show up and be willing to learn and be open, and it's a great experience.
Wellspring Women's Center and the Art of Being program is open to any woman in the community. There are absolutely no eligibility requirements. The Art of Being program is a free program. Therapy can be very expensive and beyond the means of many women in our community, and so many of the women I talk to will say, if there had been a charge for this program, I would not have been able to participate.
That was wonderful. Now that we've actually heard from the women, can you maybe tell us a little bit about the structure of the goals and how you sort of incorporate that into the Art of Being?
Yes. I think one of the things that's so great about the structure is that because you have the time of 2.5 hours per session, there's a lot of creativity time in each session, but every session also includes some mindfulness meditation, so kind of getting grounded and centered, and of course every session also includes some feedback where you're able to connect with other group members about what you yourself have created. And it's not to say that anybody's artwork is interpreted, because that's actually against the group norms. That, you know, everybody's expression is their own, and so they're going to communicate what that means, and it's not up to
For us to do that.
Yes, to interpret that. And so, but they do get this possibility then of not only having them use the expressive modality to communicate something, but then actually putting the words to it. So it kind of finalizes the healing process, the structural process that's happening within the brain. And every art project is kind of designed to provoke some things. You know, we're not...
To get people thinking a little bit and be reflective. And I love the idea of kind of weaving the mindfulness into it, because I think sort of, I mean, there's a lot of evidence around, you know, how that really supports people in stress reduction and just managing some mental health symptoms even. So I think all of that together is just really very innovative the way you're doing it.
Very powerful.
Very powerful and healing.
Yeah,
you know?
and you know, using art and expressive, not just the materials, but some of the movement and whatnot, it forces you into the present moment.
Right,
right. And then you, I don't want to say forces, but it encourages you to be very present with where you are and what you're doing. And in 10 weeks, you get a lot of practice with being present. And what does it feel like to fully be able to access my power and what's inside of me, my power to create, my power to
express myself.
Yeah.
And so the group itself kind of works as kind of a little microcosm of life, because we don't ever tell anyone in advance what they'll be doing. So just like life, we never really know what's going to be expected and what will be expected of us. And so, you know, it is designed to provoke a little bit of that anxiety, even like, I don't know, what will we be doing today? I know we're going to dance sometime. Is that going to be today? You know, for those that are maybe...
I'm not very good at dancing.
Yes, it's like everyone kind of has their own comfort level with where they
Their
feel.
skill sets,
And so then when they're out of their comfort level or just pushed a little bit to the margins of it, what happens is all of those negative criticisms about the things that they say, oh, I can't do this, this is too hard. And so in this opportunity of this safe place, they're able to really work through that and kind of even witness their own process and go, okay, and then get through it and do what they can and have that real successful experience and growth, and then take that and apply it to the rest of their life in different ways. And so every art process sort of provokes something for somebody. And it might not be, it seems like through the course of it, everybody gets provoked differently in different ways based on what they're bringing.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear some of the examples of that, sort of what you hear from folks, and we did hear a little bit of that on the video.
Yeah, and so on the video, you know, you kind of get the sense of how, you know, the women begin to notice things in their lives, like noticing the details that before they never noticed, like color or nature, and how suddenly I'm awake to things in my life. And you hear that a lot just because hopefully they're waking up in the creative process and seeing things differently, seeing themselves differently. So you hear that a lot in the class. And there was one of the women in the video, she was, you know, just so excited always to create everything except for one process that she just stumbled over. She just came to a complete halt. It was ceramics. She's looking at the clay, oh, I don't know, you know, this is dirty, my hands, you know, just all of those things about how it is, am I going to embrace this, what do I do with this? And then she was kind of just looking at it, and then she saw something that came to her, and she got so excited to create it. And so sure enough, she saw an elephant. And so she really worked it, and she really made sure that sure enough, an elephant appeared out of this process. And it was just elephantastic. It was great. It was great.
Of all the projects that she did, that is the one that really sticks with her, because she overcame her resistance, her anxiety, her, I can't do this, I don't want to do this. You know, I mean, it was a very strong reaction, and she worked through it. And it was really wonderful to see that, and she felt...
Well, I love that it gives people an opportunity to sort of explore those expressive sides of themselves without this sense that it's through this therapy, you know, it doesn't, it's not labeled as this therapeutic thing, or, you know, it's counseling, or you have to go see a psychiatrist, or, you know, where people, it sort of takes away some of that stigma in a way, and just gets people, you know, where they're able to begin to heal. And so, especially for women, I think, where we often go so fast through life. You know, even that stopping to sort of look at, I think one of the ladies said about, I noticed that it wasn't just a flower, it was a rose, it was a red rose. It was, you know, she began to notice some details about it. And I think we tend to do that very easily in our lives, and sort of kind of just plug along and try to get everything done and take care of the kids and go to work, and you're kind of missing some of those really beautiful details about life that takes, in some ways, sometimes our joy away.
It really does. And also the details that a lot of the women miss most of the time is their own beauty.
And this is
where, you know, you really start to see that they can start to recognize their own value and their own just little great idiosyncrasies that they've sometimes tried to mold into something that maybe they can let free a little bit and not waste so much time. Yeah, and so even for the woman, you know, with the elephant, how that ends up working in her life is that then she's more likely to try things that at first her initial impression is negative. And that included some, you know, exciting things for her in her life where her first thought was, oh no.
No, I never did. Yeah.
No, but then she said, well, wait a minute, maybe I should give this a try. And so it just offers many opportunities like that.
Yeah, I think arts, in a way, the arts open people up in ways that we don't ordinarily find in other forms of life, you know. And so that's such an opportunity, really, for growth and development. Do you find that that women stick with it, you know, over the 10 weeks? Do you find that people kind of don't follow through, because it sounds like something they would really enjoy coming to? I mean, in fact, I want to come.
We heard that a lot. We're like, can I sign up?
You know, right? I'm just like, gosh, can I get a few hours off just to go? You know, it just sounds so wonderful.
Well, the great news about that is that typically you can tell really early on if someone's going to be able to make that commitment. Sometimes people really want to make that commitment. And sometimes things happen. Sometimes people just haven't, especially women, have not learned how to prioritize themselves. And so even though they really want to make the time, it's like, oh, my grandkids, oh, this, oh, you know, all those other things start to take priority. And so pretty early on in the sessions, those individuals are usually drop out, and then you end up with this core bond of group that just kind of rides through the rest of the time. And their connection and community building is
within the group.
Oh yes, it's just blossoms and offers such internal relationships and friendships and
those
support.
natural supports that people need.
Yes, very much.
We find that people do better when they have those supports in their lives, but I think it's becoming increasingly hard for people to make those supports after they maybe have some struggles, or they, you know, or have challenges with mental illness or things like this. It's hard to just sort of go out there and meet people. You know, everybody always says go meet people. Well, it's just not that easy, and not everybody wants to do it online, and not, you know, but you need those friendships, you need those social connections.
And the diversity that happens in the groups themselves just offers such rich, interesting experiences. So that, you know, since we're not necessarily, oh, this is a depression group, or this is a group for, you know, so it really is so eclectic, and the women themselves are bringing such different things, and different mental health symptoms have shown up in the group, and it's been fine. So if we do have, you know, delusional or active hallucinations or whatever's happening, it's fine. People are loved and accepted and welcomed. And I think that's, and again, how then the art allows for the communication in those circumstances, and the connection with that person that could ultimately be a little bit more difficult to find similarities.
It's just based solely on language.
Yes.
I agree.
And so seeing that happen and seeing the support and the strength of the connection that happens is really one of the most powerful things that happens in the group.
Yeah, it sounds
very powerful.
And it's fun to hear women tell us, you know, I didn't know I was an artist. I didn't know I was creative. I didn't know I could do this. When I was in school, I made this drawing I thought was so great, and somebody told me it was awful. It was not the assignment. It was not good enough. And people carry that around for a long, long time.
Oh, absolutely. And they're kind of negative criticism. And I think we tend to, you know, I can speak for myself, sort of have that little critical voice running in our heads, you know, and it's really, it sounds very liberating to sort of get away from that and be able to express yourself in some kind of artistic way.
And I think that that also leads back to, with this particular program, it's not ever about the outcome.
Right. It's all a journey.
Yeah, and so I think, if you have something that you're creating, it's not necessarily about the finished product. It's about what does it feel like to be in the process of creating that, whatever that might be. So for some women, they get to have the idea of when they visualize something that they can't make come out the way they exactly would like. And how often does this happen in life, right? Where they're just like,
Always.
I did not see it this way.
We never expected it to turn out this way, right?
And so just again, how to receive what actually does end up happening and welcoming the gift that brings, even if it isn't exactly as you envisioned it. Yeah. And also just that you can just completely disconnect from the outcome, because at the very, at the end, they can take or not take things. Sometimes we need to get something out, but we don't want to have to take care of it later. The expression doesn't need to come home with us and be something we hang up, or maybe it just helped us to process through something, and now we can let it go. So it is very much process focused.
Well, it sounds very cathartic. Do people sort of sometimes feel, emotional? I mean, actually, some of that happens at times, depending on what they're working on and what that evokes for them.
Oh yes, for someone indeed. See that.
Yeah, I mean, I could just feel that would happen.
Out.
Yeah. Just sort of getting in touch with themselves. And sort of their true inner feelings.
Some support.
Yeah, and I think that's really hard sometimes, because we try to sort of stuff that down. And I think through some of this, it would really come out. Which is very healing and therapeutic.
And it offers the structure itself, because we kind of expect that it will come out, and we never
Right,
know.
right, that's what I was
You
gonna
never
ask.
know, like, for what degree it is that you can think a very benign activity that won't provoke much. You'll be surprised. It will be the activity that really resonates and brings and pulls, and the person is really feeling and in touch with the emotions, connected with whatever that is. And the safety of expressing those is so critical to the therapeutic process and the catharsis involved, but also then just that really brave and courageous act of showing vulnerability, which is how connection happens. It's how it happens. If we're not vulnerable, then we will not connect. It's through our vulnerabilities that people really like us. It's kind of an interesting thing that happens. Like,
we want to be perfect, but we're really not, and that's why people love us. Because they wouldn't love us if we were perfect. Think about it.
It's true. And so talking about that and embracing that is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, again, kind of that liberating feeling. I mean, it sounds like this is really very empowering for women, and it's certainly from the video, it sounds like many people have felt that way. I know that you serve a lot of women, it sounds like, so I was just kind of curious how many people use the center on a regular basis. It sounds like literally hundreds for breakfast, but in terms of the art programs and some of the other things, how many people would you say you serve annually?
The annual numbers are a little bit more difficult for me. I'm like a small base person, so I know that, on average we serve about 200 women and children a day for our breakfast program. And that our children's coordinator, on average, has about 18 children there, between ages 2 to 8 throughout the course of her day, and that's just an average. And she also has some numbers about the distinct number of children she sees over the course of a year, and it's into the hundreds for sure. I couldn't tell you the exact number. And then from the perspective of the Women's Wellness Program, in terms of our numbers we offer like last year was somewhere in the realm of 900 counseling hours, and so those are the data that we keep. The craft club, of course, is going to be our most
Hundreds.
Well, it's
hundreds.
Yeah.
You're a busy lady, Missy.
Yeah, to do the
You both are.
craft. The craft club is very busy.
Yeah, we probably see anywhere from 15 to 50 people at the craft club, depending on the project and the time of year, and definitely ramp it up during the holidays and bring in more volunteers and do some really special crafts. So that's a good time to come in.
Yeah, now it sounds like you really operate with a lot of volunteers and donations. So, what kind of things do you need? Tell our audience.
Well, we always need art paper, especially watercolor paper. It's quite expensive, and our feeling is to give women the best quality art supplies that we can provide so that they really feel valued and that their expression is valued. And
Just don't give them the broken crayons.
we don't.
That's really wonderful.
Although we will shave those up and, make some other crap with those.
You're very resourceful.
I'm on Pinterest a lot. But we always need good quality paintbrushes, especially watercolor brushes and watercolors. We always need sewing supplies. Because we do allow women to take all that home with them and finish their we're even working to, if women don't have a sewing machine, to send them home the sewing machine when they finish with the class, so they can continue building their skills at home and making things for their kids and for themselves. Yarn, we give away a lot of yarn. We have so many crocheters and knitters in that center that are so talented, and yarn is always welcome. And I always love it when someone gives us gift cards to any of the craft stores like Joann's or Michael's, or we buy our silk scarf painting materials, which are quite costly, from Dharma Trading Company, which is an online outlet. So gift cards are always great, but any type of craft project, material is welcome. We'll go through them. If we can't use them, I'll make them available for the women to take home.
And in terms of volunteering, how might someone go about finding out and volunteering at your agency?
Well, I think the direct place would go through our volunteer coordinator, to just contact her and just let her know your interest level, because then she'll just sort of call you back and assess what your skills are, what your interests are, and then kind of put you in the right place. Do orientation. So is it with the breakfast program? Would you rather work with kids? Is there something with the art program that you're going to do? But I cannot overstate how heavily we rely on volunteers.
No, it sounds like
it is very much, we have a very small staff of 9? Are we 9? And not everyone is even full-time. And so then the volunteers are what make that ship sail every day.
Yeah, to do all that you're doing in the community, you could never do it with 9 staff. And so that's just really exciting to see the community come together as well. And I know that you mentioned that, and I just need to say this, because I'm very impressed that you don't get any government funding. And so it's really, truly this sort of organic, beautiful little program, that's blossoming in Sacramento. But those volunteers are really important, and I know that there are a lot of folks in the Sacramento area that we hear from often that want to volunteer, and they want places like what you are offering to be a part of.
And the volunteers are part of our community too.
Absolutely.
That's the way it's so wonderful.
And it's reciprocal. They get so much out of it as well. That's why I love volunteers. We use them quite a bit in Help America as well. And they're really the backbone of what we do. There's so much. We could not do these things without our volunteers. But there's so many people out there that want to do that and want to help and give back. So I'm assuming that you have folks that are helping with the classes that are volunteers and your meal service and all of this. And so that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and even with some of our fundraising.
Right.
So there's a lot of rich places that they can offer that, in terms of experience. And the kids too, and they always need that 2 to 8 range. People who enjoy working with kids.
So like just to help with the child care and things like that.
That's a huge help, because if you can imagine, we have one person back there with 2 to 8.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Yi, and I was already thinking about her. I was like, I don't know. Can she handle all those things?
Yeah, and she does it. She's amazing at it. And
but she needs the help.
And the help just offers, again, more that one-on-one time, individual time, which is what we see too with the arts, is that when you have, even at Craft Club, one person kind of connecting and talking over a craft project, it just offers a different kind of relationship and ability to just kind of connect with someone and talk about their lives. And the kids are the same way. They do the same thing. Sit down with them with an art activity or any activity, and you learn all about them.
Well, it certainly sounds like you're staying very busy, and there's quite a demand for your services. So it sounds like you probably would even be able to grow if you wanted to. You know, I mean, it's all of this is happening at that. Because the center isn't that big.
No.
I mean, from what I recall, I was like, wow, all this is happening in that little center.
Sometimes our calendar gets quite full, and we were like, where are we going to fit this workshop?
Right.
Or can we do one this month? Because we have so many things.
Yeah, you're
going on.
impacted.
It becomes about space.
Right.
And so we've kind of trickled out into the community garden a little bit. We have a community garden. So over the summer I had a book club and we met at the garden, which was very nice because we need nature time too. So sometimes
and outdoors and sunlight and vitamin D.
So sometimes when things are, we try to use our space however we can, and that was kind of nice to have a little space that we could use in the garden. And but yeah, it is a space. Our space limited, but I think that's okay. One of the things that I've always said about Wellspring that makes it great is that we're not trying to be anything other than what we are, which is a very, we're a community kind of center where we offer really quality interaction, and it's quality over the quantity that's really important for everybody that is there.
But it also doesn't sound like you turn people away.
No.
Which is really wonderful, because so often you hear, well, you don't really meet that criteria, sorry about it, and that's just so hard for us. I mean, even when we're trying to link people with services or supports to know that there's a place that they're not going to get turned away is really a wonderful thing. Everything, I was always so impacted, and there's waiting lists, and only so much funding, and there's criteria, and there's just, there's a lot of hoops for people to jump through. There's a lot of red tape, and it really doesn't sound like Wellspring has that. And so I think that's just wonderful, really, because that's hard for people.
It really is. And also the other thing is,
they don't want to always go through all that. They just want to talk to somebody for a little while.
And trying to get through that can sometimes be the reason that they don't reach out at all.
Exactly.
And so just kind of making sure that there isn't that barrier to reaching out for whatever you might be needing is really a vital piece of what Wellspring offers. And the other piece is that once you're with us, we're never going to turn our back on you. That's the other thing. We've never ever told anybody they can never come back to our center. We've worked with every kind and type of behavioral issue or things that come up, and just trying to be like this. We're a community, and we have to figure out ways to make it work. And that's the challenge in that. And so we've had.
It's lovely.
Yeah, I think it is. I really have always felt really strongly that there's so much good in recognizing and accepting individuals, even those that are very impaired and maybe struggling.
Absolutely.
And they need the center more than most people need the center. So we need to make sure that it's accessible to them.
I know you talked a little bit about mindfulness, and I was just kind of curious, if maybe you could expand on that just a little bit more, and how you see it relating to sort of the expression of creativity.
I think when I was designing the program specifically, I felt very strongly that all of the research, as you said, mindfulness is the best word in our field today.
I'm really excited about it in mental health, because it's starting to work its way really into the mainstream, where it's sort of been on the edge, and I'm a big believer. I have a little mindfulness app on my phone. I'm calmer on the days I do those little exercises.
They work.
It really, really works.
And so that was what really inspired me. Was there was a lot of efficacy in the idea of how is this mindfulness working in people's lives. And so for me, it was really important that the program contain elements of mindfulness practice, just as a skills training. Just let me just give you these skills. And what we initially found right away, many of the women had never even attempted mindfulness meditation before. And afterwards we'd be like, well, how do you all feel now? And they'd be like, I'm so peaceful. What just happened? They're just shocked and amazed that they could produce that with just such a short amount of time within themselves. And so that is such a critical piece.
And to give them the power that they can do it within themselves, that it doesn't have to be something outside, that we do have that.
And it's free, and you don't have to charge it.
Yeah, it's really not hard.
It isn't. And
it's a little time, but it's not hard.
And the little time invested in, and I really do, part of how I incorporate mindfulness the whole time is I really ask them to do it at home when when they're not.
Because it's a practice. It has
Yes,
to become a practice.
it is about making it habitual, about
Mhm.
really relying on it as a tool that's going to offer you a whole host of, as you said, many benefits, all the research, health benefits, mental health benefits, so many, that it's just kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
And-
it doesn't really cost anything. You know, like, this is the way to go.
And so for me, it was really important to incorporate that. And then what I've noticed is that with the connection with creativity is very strong, and that once you're present and grounded, there's a better source of creativity available to you. And so having the experience of that really helps the women when they're out there dealing with their regular lives and problems show up. It's like, well, maybe if I sit for a minute and get present, other solutions will arise. And it's amazing what you see differently when you just step back for a second. And so kind of having them experience that in real time in the group where, okay, I came in kind of all over the place and scattered, and now I'm more grounded, and here's this activity, and I'm focusing and directing it. And then what happens when we come from a place of mindfulness versus the lack of mindfulness, which is mindless, right? Where we're just kind of frantically following an agenda.
Just trying to, deal with the things as they arise and not really,
Yeah, and so the practice of that then just kind of becomes part of how they are approaching their communities and families too. So I think the benefits to parenting, the challenges we've had with some of the parents that have been in the group with some very challenging behaviors and issues with children that are struggling themselves with mental health or other things. And then how that whole mindful parenting can transform the situation.
Absolutely.
So,
It changes the whole dynamic. But it really is, because I've lived both ways, mindful and not. And it really makes a huge difference. And I think it's still something that I will always be working on in my life. But I think we so easily develop maybe unhealthy habits and patterns at times. And so it's really important for us to sort of replace those with something that can really feed our soul and get us back to where we need to be. But again, it's something that we sort of have to work at. But it's just other things in life are just really easy. Let's just go have a drink, or let's go do I'm frazzled, I had a stressful day. And those things aren't always the answer. They don't usually help us in the long run, but they become habitual.
And most of the time they're about avoiding
what is really happening.
And so mindfulness
Exactly.
really just asks you to actually sit with it and be present with it, rather than go to those things that are going to distract you or the avoidant behaviors that we use from the feelings. And
We just want to get away from it.
Yeah, of course we know that.
But it's still going to be there.
and of course, all unhealthy types of coping leads to avoidance of some kind.
Yeah.
And so really kind of just learning the skill of just sitting with something and knowing you can do it.
And deal with it, whatever it is, whatever comes up, you develop the confidence that you will be able to sit with it and deal with it, and maybe even problem solve your way out.
Right.
And I think that the greater lesson with the mindfulness too is how it is that once you yourself are at some kind of grounded place, you feel more confident.
Absolutely. And that you really do have some choice and some power over things, that it's not just the whole world, closing in on me and I'm helpless and I'm victimized and, we've all sort of been there, but that sort of turns it around to that, what can I do about it? How can I take control in this moment to not feel this way?
I sometimes will tell women, it's sort of like if you're really, really angry, as soon as you start practicing mindfulness, the part of you that's aware that you're angry is no longer angry.
Right, it's so weird, isn't it?
You get just a little step back, a little distance from it, and there's so much power in that little space. And so how that they can use that in their life is just, you can't think of all the possibilities of how we sometimes need that little
Infinite.
space. To just, this
Not react.
It's sort of giving people the permission to go there, that it's okay not to do the housework or, the regular work or take care of the kids for a minute and just spend those few moments in that place, because it really makes us much more able to manage our lives.
I call that relaxed management.
Right,
Which is so much more effective than that stress management that we're trying most of the time as we're mindlessly going about things. Mindfulness just brings a whole another sense of things.
And I think our society just is constantly moving in the other direction. It's sort of, mindfulness is sort of antithetical to our daily lives. And, we have to get much better at that, I think, especially in our society, because it's so important.
And I think it's really important that Missy and I both do the same thing. We both practice mindfulness.
So you're kind of both aligned in that sense.
And so we bring a grounded person to the program. You know, we're practicing as much as we can what we're trying to offer and bringing ourselves fully and completely to that moment with all of the women who are there, hoping that we're there for them fully.
Yeah, right. And you're modeling that as much as you possibly can, because I'm sure that there are days where it does get stressful. I mean, you have all those people coming in, and and with all the needs, that can be challenging at times. But it sounds like you folks are doing a great job. So if anybody wanted to enroll in the programs at Wellspring, how would they do that? It sounds like they can call
It's
or
so
talk into
easy.
the breakfast.
That's
I love that it's so easy. That's
I
my
always like to
favorite
say
part.
it's so easy. And especially if they drop in between 7:30 and 11:30, the great thing about
And
that
access a bunch of different
is that there's, while they're waiting for one thing, they can get some breakfast, they can have access to the community in general, and kind of get a sense of what things are going on around here, and get a feel. You know, a lot of people just want to kind of get a feel for a place. So anytime during some time, they just drop in. You know, so that's the beauty of it, is that they don't even have to have an appointment. They can walk through the door and have access to some services. And then for the other programs, in terms of just like more like counseling, if they walked in or if they just called, I would connect with them about that process and what that would look like. Same for the expressive therapy session. There would be an orientation that they would come to, so they would really fully know what they're getting into, because this is a very specific program.
It's a little bit more intensive.
Yes, and so I like to make sure that people have some idea what they're committing to.
Right.
And,
And it's longer term.
And so they do a 10-minute orientation for that, but otherwise, it's just a matter of, it's very easy.
Yeah, it
Very
sounds
easy.
really
Email,
easy. Gosh, it's
phone,
like a
walk
breath of
in.
fresh air.
Just come in.
Yeah, it's not like this big gatekeeping thing that is, sort of constantly our experiences in trying to get people, to access services and supports oftentimes, when they're experiencing some kind of mental health challenge. And, it's frustrating. It's very difficult.
Very frustrating.
And then people will come to us and say, well, I went here and I told them everything, and then they sent me there, and I have to tell my story all over again. And sometimes I feel for them in that sense, because I know I've been there, and I know that that's really, really difficult, and you kind of just feel very exposed. And it's not necessarily. It takes so long to even begin the healing process when you have to go through all those different layers, and often people aren't ready for that. It's really, really hard. This seems so much easier, just to begin to maybe take some of those baby steps, and get back into the community, meet some people, explore some of the art, and expressing themselves in that way.
And it is the organic community that really is what makes Wellspring special, because it's not all paid professionals in your life. It's other people, it's a community.
And that's really what people need, ultimately. That's the goal that we try to get them there.
Yes,
But,
is developing deep rapport with others that they can talk to.
Those social connections.
And, be leaned on in return.
Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful byproduct of the program. Now, is there a limit on the intensive expressive, like how many folks can
I
do that
limit
one?
it to 16 on that one, so that's for each session 16. If you get
So it could be in the middle of one, but if you may have to wait till the next.
yes, and then with that, you're looking at the group is sometimes we go 16 people. That's so big, but again, I'm telling you, there's that some people, and so the core group of people ends up being much smaller. It's usually 10, 12 people that really end up focusing in and sticking with the whole process. It's a right amount.
Right. And so the same with the case management. If they showed up at the breakfast, you can kind of connect them, and they can follow up with that. And is there a limit to sort of the length of that, or they can just be seen for quite a while?
There was a woman today who came into the center looking for a job, and there was someone who sat with her for almost 3 hours filling out job applications, doing resumes, assisting her with her interview skills, and just kind of helping her to get her hope back again, because she'd been trying so hard and lost hope because she just
all the
wasn't
rejection
getting
is so
Yes,
difficult also,
yes,
and it's really hard out there today.
And so just having that time, someone says, I see you, you matter, I invest in you, this is what you're
I'm
needing.
listening.
And so I'm going to spend this time with you because you're worth it, you're worth this time. And so it really just depends. And others might just be a 15-minute, let me help you fill out this form. So it really just depends, it's variable.
Wow. Well, I am just so impressed and inspired by both of you, and I thank you for being on the show with us today. And
Thank you so much.
really hope that people, tune in and watch and learn more about what's going on over there. Although you may be inundated. Not that you. It sounds like you already are. Well, thanks again for being here. I really do appreciate it. It sounds like a wonderful program. And thank you for tuning in. And we do hope that you remember that your mental health does matter.
When I think of where I've been, the good times and the bad, on a scale of 1 to 10, either way I'm glad, 'cause I'm not alone. As I'm reaching for the phone, your voice is there, you really care, you're my comfort zone. Sometimes when I'm lost, crushed beneath the pain, though I can't afford the cost, I just smile and play the game. But there's a healing place where I cannot pretend. Your smiling face, your heart's embrace heals me again. So even when the storm is strong and I'm deaf to my own cry, I faintly hear a distant song and I simply can't deny that I'm not alone. 10,000 times I've known my best bet is that first step for hope. Trying to stand tall, I'm haunted by the past. With my back against that wall, one thing is clear at last. The kind of love you show to me flows from an endless stream, with shores so wide it won't subside. My mind had never dreamed how I'm not alone, even when I'm on my own. Your gentle touch is much too much to let me roam. So even when the storm is strong and I'm deaf to my own cry, I faintly hear a distant song and I simply can't deny how I'm not alone. 10,000 times I've known my best bet is that first step for hope.